Ghost of Frankenstein picks up right where the last movie left off. The same way Frankenstein and Bride go together, so do Son and Ghost. Wolf Frankenstein and his family had moved out of the Frankenstein castle and left it abandoned. The villagers still see it as an object of bad omen, so they rush to destroy it. Typically, this is how one of these movies would end, so it really starts off fast. Igor still lives in the castle and tries to fend the people off. It's not explained how he survived the bullets from the last movie, but we can assume if he can survive being hanged, he can probably survive being shot too. He's immortal. The castle is blown up till there's nothing left. The explosions free the monster from the hardened sulfur, and the two escape into the night. Hey, I never noticed the gravestone falling down. There's some inconsistency here as the monster is wearing different clothing than before. He's back to his traditional outfit rather than that fur coat he had on in Son. Then the monster gets struck by lightning, which supposedly makes him stronger. This contradicts the last movie where, according to Igor's account, lightning put the monster in a coma. That was why he was lying on the table for half the film. Well, now it makes him stronger? That does make sense because the lightning is what brought the monster to life in the first place, but all these different screenwriters can never agree on one thing.
The lightning. It is good for you.
Igor gets the idea to go to Ludwig, the second son of Frankenstein, to get him to harness the powers of electricity to strengthen the monster, or something like that. Ludwig is the first Frankenstein to have the good sense to refuse getting involved with the monster, because of all the trouble it's caused his father and brother. With or without Ludwig's help, the monster goes on a rampage through the town. He's captured by the police once, but gets loose and breaks into Ludwig's house at night, scaring the crap out of his daughter and killing his assistant Dr. Kettering. Ludwig manages to gas the monster to sleep, and then plans on dissecting the monster, destroying him once and for all.
It was made limb by limb, organ by organ. It must be unmade in the same way.
He changes his mind when the ghost of his father comes and gives him the idea to give the monster a new brain, because that was the whole problem from the beginning, the abnormal brain. So Ludwig decides to go through with it, but Igor has other plans.
My brain will be your brains.
While Ludwig is planning to put the brain of Dr. Kettering into the monster's skull, Igor sees to it that it's his own brain instead. He makes a deal with another doctor, Bomar, to swap his brain without Ludwig knowing. His promise to Bomar is that they would rule the world together. How exactly you can rule the world in a monster's body, I am not sure, because you see earlier on the monster can't even fight off a group of police officers. As the finale unfolds, the Igor monster awakes and boasts with power.
I have the strength of 100 men. I cannot die. I cannot be destroyed. I, Igor, will live forever.
It's really freaky hearing Igor's voice come out of the monster, and is my favorite part of the film. Soon the monster goes blind. As Ludwig explains, Igor's blood type is different than the monster, and it doesn't feed the sensory nerves, whatever that means. Well, the monster is now blind and angry, throwing Dr. Bomar onto some electrical gear, which explodes and sets the whole house on fire. The monster staggers about as everything but the kitchen sink explodes for no reason. You actually see his flesh peeling off, which is pretty nifty. The roof collapses, almost immediately the end credits roll, and you sit there thinking, what the hell did I just watch? This is the first Frankenstein movie without Boris Karloff. The monster's played by Lon Chaney Jr. He was fresh off his success as the Wolfman, so naturally the studio started using him for every one of their monster roles, even if he wasn't right for the part. He played the Mummy and even Count Alucard. His performance as the monster is just as good as playing a rock. He lacks expression and doesn't make one sound. Maybe it's because the monster is supposed to be weak and needs his dose of electricity from Frankenstein. Only when he becomes the Igor monster does he get interesting.
I am Igor.
Dwight Fry is back again as a villager.
Destroy the castle. Wipe the last traces of these accursed Frankensteins from our land.
And Lionel Atwill's back as Dr. Bomar. They sure do recycle their actors a lot. Sir Cedric Hardwicke is both Ludwig Frankenstein and the ghost of Henry Frankenstein. A shame it wasn't Colin Clive. Evelyn Ankers is Ludwig's daughter, who is also Lon Chaney's love interest in The Wolfman. Bela Lugosi is Igor again, obviously. He's still pretty good, but not quite as creepy as he was in Son. Ghost of Frankenstein is a step below its predecessors in terms of quality, but the fun factor is put on max. The brain transplant idea is really cool. There's lots of action and familiar music cues lifted from the Wolfman. It's entertaining as hell, and we all know hell is pretty damn entertaining.